Something about that conversation feels different this time. You catch yourself nodding a little too fast, agreeing before you've actually formed an opinion. Your reply comes out smooth, polite, exactly what the other person wants to hear. You feel a small lift in your chest when they smile. You don't question it. You think you're just being nice. You scan the room for faces, for any sign you said the right thing. When someone stays neutral, you add another sentence to explain yourself. You don't notice how often you're editing your words mid-sentence. You don't notice the quiet calculation happening under your words. You believe you're just being considerate. You notice it again. You tell your friend you love the restaurant they chose, even though the food was bland. You laugh at a joke that didn't land. You keep your tone light when you actually feel irritated. Later, you replay the moment and feel a faint tension in your shoulders. You catch yourself checking your phone after you send a message, watching for the read receipt, for the reply. You tell yourself you're just curious, but there's a slight unease when the reply is short. You start seeing the pattern. You adjust your tone, your story, your preference, depending on who you're with. It's subtle. It feels normal. You pause before reacting. You're about to say, yeah, that's fine, when you actually don't want to go. You stop. You feel the hesitation in your throat. You wonder why you're so quick to say yes. You think about the times you've said yes and ended up resenting the evening. You notice you're more comfortable agreeing than explaining what you want. You feel a flicker of guilt for even considering saying no. You ask yourself what you're afraid of. The answer is vague, disappointing them, seeming difficult, being left out. You don't have a clear answer, but the question stays with you. You question your reactions. A coworker critiques your idea and you feel your face get hot. Your first impulse is to defend it, to add extra details to prove it's good. You stop and ask yourself what the heat means. Is it embarrassment? Fear? Anger? You realize you're not just reacting to the critique, you're reacting to the idea that they might think less of you. You notice you tie your idea to your worth. You start separating the work from yourself, but it feels unfamiliar, almost uncomfortable. You sit with the discomfort instead of rushing to fix it. You understand your emotional triggers. You see that you feel anxious when people are silent after you speak. Silence used to mean you failed. Now you recognize it as their processing time, not your failure. You notice you feel a spike of anxiety when someone says, "We need to talk." Your mind immediately assumes you've done something wrong. You trace the feeling back to childhood, to moments when that phrase meant trouble. You don't judge the feeling, you just name it. Naming it loosens its grip. You still feel it, but you don't obey it automatically. You recognize deeper psychological patterns. You see how you shape your personality to fit the group. With one friend you're funny and loud. With another you're quiet and agreeable. With family, you're the responsible one. You realize you've built different versions of yourself for different audiences. You wonder which one is actually you. You feel a mix of loss and curiosity. You notice you've been collecting approval like a currency, spending it to stay included. You see how exhausting it is to keep all the versions running. You start letting some of them fade. You accept uncomfortable truths about yourself. You admit you've used people's approval to define your value. You admit you've avoided honest opinions because you feared rejection. You admit you've sometimes said what you thought people wanted to hear instead of what you believed. It feels raw. You feel a pang of shame, then a breath of relief. You realize the people whose approval you chased weren't even paying that close attention. You realize you were the one monitoring everything. You decide you'd rather be disliked for being real than liked for being convenient. You sit with quiet self-awareness and emotional clarity. You speak your opinion even when you're unsure how it will land. Your voice is steady. You don't add extra explanations. You don't scan faces for approval. If someone disagrees, you listen without shrinking. If someone approves, you accept it without inflating. You feel your body relaxed, your breath slower. You realize you don't need to be liked by everyone to feel okay. You feel solid, not rigid. You feel open, not exposed. Across the table, someone laughs a little too quickly to hide their discomfort. They agree with everything you say, adding extra praise, watching your face for a reaction. You recognize the pattern. You used to do the same thing.